Welcome, everyone. It's Mike Dotterer, and you're champions on the dot. And I've got Coach O with me tonight here on the East Coast at 7 p.m. and on the West Coast at 4 p.m. And you might be tuning in from Europe. You might be tuning in from Asia, South America, Brazil, which is, I believe that we're going to be playing in Brazil, Coach, this
Yeah,
coming weekend. And you might be tuning in from Africa. And who knows, maybe the North Pole or Antarctica. But as you can see, I got my Raider hat,
there you go.
got the Raider shirt,
That's
alumni, and we got the ring, and we got the picture behind us.
I
Of,
have the Raider mug here.
yeah. So, Coach, it's an
Yes.
exciting week. It's the kickoff of the NFL season.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate day is really day one of the NFL draft. That starts the season. And that's where we all get pumped. We all get excited to see what our teams are going to do. And that's just the preface to getting into OTAs, into camp, and finding out who the 53-man roster is, as well as whatever Roger Goodell and the uh, glorified boards of the NFL decide to do for rules. But, hey, stuff does happen that way.
Good time.
Yep.
Well, Coach, I'm just happy to get you back on Champions on the Dot. We've had you on last year and the year before. I believe it's been a
It,
while,
this, is,
but I
this, is- this is our third year together in
yeah,
that.
third
And
year exactly.
it's always a pleasure that we get together, whether it be phone messaging, text messaging, doing these. I mean, I really have a fun time doing the on the dots and waiting to see what people have to say. And now that it's more globally, uh, hey, for those that are just joining, I have 19 years experience as a football coach. I was an athletic trainer in the original USFL. I have uh, done everything from high school to college in my coaching career. Uh, I've studied film. I love the game. And Mike and I met each other here in Cleveland back whenever Rod Woodson was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And uh, we may not agree with my views on football, but from being someone that has known it from player into the medical aspect and into the front office, uh, I think I pretty got a good grasp of stuff that we can discuss.
You really do, Coach. I mean, when I first met you, I was so impressed with your background because you've done so many different things in football. You were a player, you were a coach, you got involved in the medical side. So I think you have as big a perspective of the game as anybody I know. And you're in the cauldron of football, which is Ohio.
Right. So, I mean, I'm blessed. Uh, the state of Ohio has good college teams. We have two professional football teams. Uh, the state itself is very knowledgeable, and high school football just bleeds into this. So the family that you would call football is really a fraternity in which we don't care who's in it, but once you're in it, there's no way you're leaving. So, I mean, we're kind of the Texas and Florida of the Great Lakes.
Yep.
So,
Yes, you are. Well, Coach, it's an exciting time. It's Wednesday before the Thursday. Tomorrow night, we kick the NFL season off, and it's the Ravens versus the Chiefs. What are your thoughts?
I think this is a prelude to the AFC Championship game. Uh, I really like the Ravens, and mainly because who knows what's going to happen with Kansas City. Their wide receiver core is brand new. Uh, right now, they lost a running back for the first 4 weeks in Clyde Edwards-Helaire uh, due to PTSD syndromes that the team is known. So their backfield is basically Pacheco, McKinnon, and then they just brought in Sammy Perrine off the Broncos because the Broncos released him. So uh, what Mahomes could do, I think, is status quo. On the other side, I look at the Ravens. Lamar's should be in the MVP talk. Again, I pick the Ravens to win the AFC. The downfall is on the Ravens. Their offensive line is makeshift and revamped. So they got some stuff to do with that, as well as their backfield. But I think with the acquisition of Derrick Henry uh, as the lead back, I think it really helps them out. It helps Lamar out.
Yeah. So I take it you're going to take the Ravens tomorrow night.
I'm going to take them. I will. It's going to be a close game, but even if they do end up on the losing end, I still feel that this is going to be the AFC Championship game,
Okay.
the rematch.
All right. And then we go to Friday, Friday Night Lights, which used to be just high school. Now it's NFL live from Brazil. The
Yeah,
Packers are taking on the Eagles. What are your thoughts on that game, Coach?
um, I like I like the Packers in this over the Eagles. I think that Jordan Love has finally gotten the grasp of Matt LaFleur's offense. I think he has quality receivers in Watkins and Dobbs, um, with Luke Musgrave as a tight end. I think that he works that in real well. AJ Dillon in the backfield, and well as Josh Jacobs, uh, who signed as a free agent. So Josh is going to get a lot of the play. I see him being typical to what he did with the Raiders and maybe only being a two down player. But I think within the Packers scheme, it works out. As for the Eagles, I mean, this is Sirianni's swan song, in my opinion. I think he's on the hot seat. He has to win in Philadelphia. Uh, he's got to do it with Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, um, Devontae Swift. It's got to be here or nothing. Plus, they went out and they get Saquon Barkley as their lead horse in the backfield. Um, it's a do or die for Sirianni, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the Philadelphia fans, they're tough. They're tough in Philly. So
Well, they have to beat the Cowboys. That their whole game is beat the Cowboys twice.
right, right.
That's it.
Well, so you're going to you're taking the Packers.
I'm taking the Packers and
Yep.
I'm taking the Ravens.
Got it.
I get and I can understand. I could be 0-2, like my Florida State Seminoles. It happens. It's just any given day, anybody can win, anybody can get beat. It doesn't matter. All the numbers on paper should say that you have blown a team out, but it's the scoreboard that counts.
Yep. Well, going into Sunday, we're going to talk about our Raiders, and this is a team I know, Coach, you have studied inside and out.
I got it here, buddy.
There it is.
I told you. I did my homework.
Well, you've got the floor, Coach. So go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say, all right, you look at uh, just our quarterback. I mean, the Raiders need a quarterback. They went out and they signed Gardner Minshew to a contract uh, and basically give competition to AOC. And that's what it was supposed to be during training camp. And then all of a sudden, uh, we get the word after week preseason uh, game 4 that Gardner Minshew will be the starting quarterback of the Raiders. Um, you asked me to do a little homework on it and give you some ideas, but here's what I came up with. Garner's in his 6th year. His career QP quarterback rating is 99.2. He's played 49 games. He's got 59 touchdowns. His he's 891 completions out of 1,423 attempts. Gives him 62%, almost 63%. He has thrown 24 interceptions. But he does run. He has 5 career rushing touchdowns. He has 621 yards career. And he averages 12.4 yards a rush. The best thing about Gardner is he's mobile, he's experienced. His problem is whether he was in Jacksonville or Indianapolis, uh, he makes poor decisions. And, I relate that to rookie ball in making, that move from college to pro. But Gardner just hasn't reined it in yet. Um, he goes off script. He will try to force throws, and it can and will hurt, as we've seen in the past. Now you go against his competition, AOC. He's only been with the team for 2 years. He's got 11 games. He's 213 completions to 343 attempts. He's got 12 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 7 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 83.9. So let's call it 84. Um, AOC was a very, very talented collegiate quarterback out of Purdue. However, he is a pocket passer, and within the league setup today, there really aren't any pocket passers anymore. This isn't a Roger Staubach or a Bart Starr type of Roman Gabriel where you just drop back and you throw. Dan Marino would probably be most closest to the years coming on. So that's where AOC lacks. I mean, yes, he will go and sacrifice himself if needed, but he's not a mobile quarterback. And that's where the Raiders definitely need to look to the future. In my opinion, I think that Gardner is just a rent a quarterback for this year. Sorry for the dog barking in the background. Um, I feel that the Raiders will be heavily trying to go after Dak in the offseason. The Cowboys have already expressed that they're going to move on without him. And then again, you still have Justin Fields, who is right now secondary to Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. Our offensive coordinator, Getz, was his OC in Chicago, so he understands him. He knows him. The Raiders did try to trade for him whenever the Bears had him up on the offer block. They just wanted too much. He goes to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's already said, excuse me, you're in your 5th year of your contract and we're not re-upping it. So again, here's another quarterback that the Raiders were looking at that could come back into the fold.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you. I remember when Trent Dilfer was, struggling down in Tampa Bay, and he got a chance to go to the Ravens. And you remember that team? They had an outstanding defense, and they just said to Trent, "Hey, just don't turn the ball over. Just don't turn the ball over." And they won a Super Bowl.
Right.
And I really think if the Raiders can step up and their defense, and their defense, the defensive coordinator for that Ravens team is now the assistant head coach for the Raiders.
Right.
Right?
I believe so.
Marvin Lewis.
Oh yeah. Marvin is there, Yeah.
So he saw Trent Dilfer. He won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. And I think Marvin Lewis might say to his, to the to AP and the coaches, "Hey, our defense, we pick it up. We play at a high level. And if Minshaw and company," and I say in company because, you need more than one quarterback to win a Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Mhm.
If Minshaw and O'Donnell can work together and just don't turn the ball over,
Well,
the Raiders could surprise some people.
I mean, obviously, you've played it. I've coached it. I've played it. It's offense, defense, and special teams. Okay. Offense, don't turn the ball over. Defense, it's 3 and out or create a turnover. Specialties, pin them back deep, kick the long field goal, do whatever you have to do. All right. Those are the 3 aspects of winning football.
Yep.
Any coach will tell you that.
Yep.
Now let's go through our coaching staff. Okay. AC, 3 years with the organization. This is going to be his first year as a head coach. He has the players' respect. Okay. So, and you always hear that. Is he a player's coach or is he just obliterate to, the multimillionaires that are, beating themselves up every weekend? He's growing into the head coach position. He understands it, but he's growing into it. And like you said, with Marvin Lewis on board, Marvin is the groomer for him and that. So that's where it helps with him to figure things out. And I'm sure Marvin's going to sit there and just play the back burner and sit there and tell them what's your opinion and what's your thought and what are you going to do. And he's going to try and answer it and then look to Marvin, and Marvin's going to say, "I wouldn't have done it that way, but if that's your gut feeling, we're going to go with it." So that's where I think it's good to have Marvin on board with that. Go to the offensive side with Getsy, 10 years experience, 2 years with the Bears. He likes to run the ball, and that's how old Raiders were. Unfortunately, in today's game, it's RPOs. So you have to work that out. But he had Justin Fields in Chicago, and he learned that. So I think that's where Getsy makes it up pretty good. He also, before Chicago, was the Green Bay pass coordinator. So he understands the pass and the run. But I believe he has that old Big Ten mentality of 3 downs and a cloud of dust to get it there. On the defensive side of the ball, Graham, 3rd year as a DC, 5 years total that he was there. He was with New England, the Giants, Green Bay, and Miami. He moved the defense last year from 25th to 15th. Total defense, he went from 26th to 9th in points per game. So they have they have the defense, and Max and everybody has a grasp of what Graham is trying to get across on that side of the ball. Do we need a couple more studs? Yeah, I'd like to see us shore up our secondary a little more. I think that our front four works out. Obviously, I'd love to have a stud linebacker in the Micah Parkins um, mold, but we have to use the people that we have. So that's my gist on basically the quarterbacks, and then our guys that are leading them.
Well, thank you, Coach, for your overview and assessment of our Raiders. And they're playing a team that I know their coach very well, Jim Harbaugh. Jim, as you know, his father was our coach when I was a running back at Stanford back in the John Elway era. Jack Harbaugh was our defensive coordinator, and that's when I met Jim. He was at Palo Alto High School. He was just a high school player, and I met Jim on the sidelines of a Stanford football game when I was playing, and he was standing next to me watching Elway throw the ball all over the gridiron. So Jim and I go way back, and as you know, he's gotten this reputation, rightfully so, of being probably the best turnaround coach in all of football. He turned around University of San Diego. Then he went to Stanford, turned us around, turned the 49ers around, got them to the Super Bowl, and then just last year took his alma mater to the national championship. So now he's going to the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, which is hard for me to
Well,
say Los Angeles Chargers because I have a lot of friends in San Diego and I wish they were still San Diego Chargers. But what are your thoughts about Jim Harbaugh? Can he do it again with the Chargers?
well, I like Harbaugh. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I'm from Ohio. I am not a Suckeye fan. I do root for Michigan every time they play Ohio State. Um, but bringing Harbaugh into the Chargers, here is my question marks for him, the organization, and their fan base. Number one, um, their quarterback has been one of the top. He's been in the top 10 ever since he's come into the league. Right now, he's dealing with injuries on his foot. So where exactly does that put Justin Aber into the game plan? Uh, Number two is their whole wide receiver corp was depleted in the offseason. They all left for greener pastures. Then you also get their leading running back in Austin Eckler gone. So Jim's coming into a situation, and Charger fan itself has to look at the big picture and say, "Holy shit! I got a new head coach. I got a new coaching staff. I have no wide receivers. I lost my lead running back. What the hell can I expect?" And out of a out of a Chargers fan, I look at you and sit there and say, exactly, what can you expect? Um, will it be a 1 year turnaround? I have no idea. Uh, Myself, I see it as a 3 year process in which Jim can build up the team. I don't see Justin Aber there uh, for the whole tenure. Uh, but again, that's my opinion. But I think that there's others that follow the game are still questioning, what can Harbaugh bring with a team that's been totally depleted and to play in the NFL today.
Right. Well, we will find out. The Raiders The Raider game versus the Chargers kicks off at 4:05 p.m. Eastern, 1:05 p.m. Pacific, and it's in the Los Angeles. It's in that beautiful arena that they have in LA.
Yes.
Yep. So looking at some of the other games this weekend, I have a friend that I'm working with who he his name is DC, and DC is he's a good friend. He's DC Hamilton. Hopefully he's listening, and he loves his Pittsburgh Steelers, and he thinks the Steelers with the new quarterback from
Russell the Muscle.
Russ. Yeah, he thinks that this could be a surprise year for the Steelers. What are your thoughts, Coach?
I think it could be. Um, I think it. I think the AFC North will put definitely 2 teams into the playoffs with a possibility of 3. I think that Pittsburgh is going to have to battle it out with Cincinnati. And then Cleveland is in the basement of the AFC North. You have this problem with the Steelers in which, yes, they are looking for a quarterback too. They have Russell, who basically they got him for free, cost him a draft choice, I believe, and it didn't matter because Denver is still paying his contract, and then you make the trade for Justin Fields to be a backup and possibly be the savior, the way that I forget who they had last year come in. It wasn't Trubisky. They got rid of him, but it was one of their other just guy on the trash bag that are like, yeah, come on, get in here. And he ends up opens the game against the Browns the final 2 weeks of the season and blows the Browns out, and then still gives them another 2 wins after that. So Pittsburgh will do okay. They're going to make the playoffs. I don't see that Wilson really makes that much of a difference into their scheme.
Okay. Well, as you know, Coach, I'm here in upstate New York, and upstate New York loves their Buffalo Bills, and they've come so close.
Well, yeah, I mean, four consecutive Super Bowls, all of them come down to basically botched field goals. They're kind of like the Florida State of the NFL. I am good friends when I was in the USFL with Jim Kelly and that. So I did follow the Bills a lot during his career, and Coach Marvin Lewis. I did meet Thurman Thomas and Bruce Smith. And a great organization. Don't get me wrong. They treat their players well. But for the Bills, excuse me, I do see them in contention and probably winning the AFC East. Their competition is definitely going to be the Jets and Miami. The only question I have to say about the Bills is here's another team that lost their wide receivers. The only one that they have coming back is Cashier, that at least played last year and got some time. They got rid of Diggs. They got rid of Gabe Davis. So, Kahir is their number 1 receiver right now. And in the backfield, it's still backfield by committee. Tight end, Kincaid is their tight end. And, he'll do stuff. So.
Well, you mentioned the Jets, and the Jets are taking on. They're going to the 49ers, and it's Monday night football. The Jets going to San Francisco. Actually, it's Santa Clara where the stadium is.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the Jets? You know, with Aaron Rodgers, who seems to be a whole new person. You know, psilocybin. If anyone wants to just just chat GPT, use chat GPT and type in Aaron Rodgers psilocybin, and you'll get some interesting information. But the Jets, what are your thoughts on the Jets 49er game? And the 49ers so close to winning another Super Bowl.
I think the 49ers are the team to beat out of the NFC with, I think Detroit will give them a run for their money. Uh, in this game, I think because it's home in San Francisco, I'm going to give them the edge. Uh, now that the dust is settled with the Ayuk contract, that was one of the big factors within preseason, getting him signed. But Ayuk, Debu Samuels, CMC, Brock Purdy, Kittle. I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good, solid five. You go to the Jets. I mean, yes, Aaron Rodgers. What can you do for me now? Well, let's see. You haven't played since week 1 of last year when you got your Achilles blown out. Um, so what can you do now? Uh, we know that you're not going to be mobile. We know that you're going to go tackle to tackle, and then you're going to have to throw the ball. Uh, you have Conklin as your tight end. You have Garrett Wilson as a wideout. Um, you do have a good running back in Brees Hall. Uh, unfortunately, we're going to get into this. Hopefully, I think Saleh is on the hot seat in Jets territory. Um, he's got to win the AFC East, and I just don't see it happening right now. I think there's still some dysfunction. I don't know if Aaron still has some extra magic mushrooms in his locker, and he told his locker is a blacked out closet. I have no idea, but that's how we'll look at it.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Lions a few minutes ago. They are playing the Rams at home, and Coach McVay, he's in my opinion one of the great young coaches in the NFL. I see Coach McVay winning a number of numerous Super Bowls. That's my opinion about Coach. And the Rams go to the Lions, and the Lions, as we know, came so close last year. So what are your thoughts of those two clubs?
I think the Lions beat them. Again, this is the Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford trade. Um, I think because the Rams will most likely be going with a second-year running back in Kyrie, and then back up a rookie, Blake Corum, that went to U of M. You still got Puka, but he's coming off a injury. Their tight end, Tyler Higbee, is he's on the IR for the first 4 games. So, and the travel from LA to Detroit, I think that's going to play heavily into the game. You look at Detroit, uh, Dan Campbell is, I think just listening to him, he would be a great coach that I would love to go for a week and just camp out at his house and follow him and shoot the shit, drink the beers, and basically get my head beat up uh, just on his knowledge and how he motivates everybody. I think with uh, Stafford, he's got around St. Brown. He's got a dual-headed running back field with Gibbs and Montgomery. He's got some extra wide receivers. Uh, Defensively, you got Atchison coming off the edge that plays like Max does. Um, it's a team that definitely is. They opened up eyes last year, and now this year is they, kick the door open and they make sure that it stays open.
Right. Well, yeah, you're right. They're going to be hungry because when you get that close and you don't get to the Super Bowl, there's definitely and it seemed like they've been able to keep their team intact. But you mentioned Stafford. Stafford's with the Rams.
Yeah,
Goff, yeah, Goff
yeah,
is the
golf.
quarterback.
Yeah,
Yeah, Goff. Well, because you're in the great state of Ohio, your two teams, which you know, the Bengals and the Browns have never won a Super Bowl. So, and the Bengals have been close. They've gotten to a couple Super Bowls. The Browns have never been to a Super Bowl.
oh
The
no,
Browns won the World Championship before Pete Rozelle called it the Super Bowl. The Browns won the World Championship in 1964, where
right,
my coach from Stanford, Paul Wiggin, was on that team.
right.
And so, what are your thoughts about the two teams in Ohio? Can the Browns or the Bengals step up and contend for the Super Bowl?
No, flat out no. I think the Bengals have pieces to the puzzle. I think egos get in the way. Uh, I don't believe that they have a strong running game, and their defense is above average. So that's where I'll leave the Bengals. The Browns are a total cluster. Um, they paid Deshaun this big amount of money, and every quarterback in the NFL should be paying homage to Deshaun Watson for what he got from the Haslam family and the Cleveland Browns, because that's where these new salaries came from that are guaranteed. Uh, Running back wise, they lost Nick Chubb. Uh, Kareem Hunt is one of our former backs here in Cleveland. He's still uh, a free agent. Uh, they went and got Deontay Foreman to be a player. They cut him during the 53 roster cut. They re-signed him to the practice squad. You got Ford as the other backup, or as the main back right now because Nick Chubb is out, and Pierre Strong is number 2. So running game wise, they don't have it. Njoku, quality tight end. He's in the middle of the pack, maybe number 7 or number 8 overall. He's a good red zone receiver, but he's 50-50 on what his hands will do. Now you go to the outside. They added Jerry Jeudy in a trade with Denver, so they solidified a slot receiver. You have Amari Cooper as their number 1, who also has injury problems. Number 2, I'm not sure who it is, but it all still comes back to the offensive line is set. Don't get me wrong. They have one of the top offensive lines. Now you get to the quarterback. You have Deshaun, who has played in his 3 years here in Cleveland a whopping 6 games. The jury is way out, and if he doesn't perform, this is going to go down as the worst trade in NFL history, other than Herschel Walker or Ricky Williams.
Right. Well, let's just hope one of those Ohio teams, because I know that the great state of Ohio, they would love to see one of them contending. And I know the Browns. I used to remember.
We're fighting for a new stadium right now.
The Browns
and Cincinnati wants a new stadium. All right,
I like that stadium. The Browns has. I like that stadium. They want a new stadium.
Yeah, well, the reason being is they want to move the stadium. Well, a group has proposed that they move a to Brook Park, which is basically 15 miles out of downtown Cleveland, and build a domed stadium complex, which is going to cost like $1.3 billion. But the only problem is Muni Stadium, or Hunting Bank Field, as it's now called, as of yesterday, they had a naming rights. Uh, it's going to cost like almost $2 million just to upgrade what's wrong at Muni Stadium right now.
Oh,
So
2 million.
in the
That's not.
long run, I'm like, to me personally, move to Brook Park, build the Dome Stadium. The Dome Stadium can hold a multitude of events, one being the NCAA basketball championship, because the NCAA has said that they will only go and play the Final Four at a domed stadium.
Mhm.
So it's like this is a no-brainer, folks. It's like, if you wanted, we're all going to be priced out of going to see sports sooner or later.
Right. Yeah.
So just do it. Who cares? Just do it. Make
Just do
somebody happy. Do it now.
it.
And that.
Well, Coach, there's other games we could go through, but I think we should jump right to and maybe end on this note. Who would be a sleeper team, a team that people really don't think much about right now, and is going to come out of the woodwork and surprise people? Who would that team, or a couple teams that you think could surprise a lot of people this year?
I think out of the NFC, I think it's the Saints. And I'm also going to put in the Commanders as two teams that could be knocking on that final playoff spot. If not with the Saints, they could win the NFC South. So I like that. Uh, Coming into the AFC, uh, I'm going to go with the Jets. Uh, and then I I'm going to say the Jets and the Steelers, mainly because I think Cincinnati will come in second to Baltimore in the AFC North. So I think Cincinnati, or I'm sorry, Pittsburgh coming in as the third wild card seed. I think themselves and the Jets kind of put the AFC into perspective.
Okay. Well, Coach, you get to end. As we know, champions on the dot. We always have you, or our guest, special guest, champions. You get the last word, and I think, just to tee it up for you, there's so many Raider Nation members out there all over the world, and that are just hoping that this can be the year. What final words do you want to say for the Raider Nation? And you get the last word, my friend. Thank you for coming on Champions on the Dot.
No problem. Thank you again, Michael. We can always do this anytime that you ask. To my fellow Raider Nation people, I'd like to sit there and say that we're going to win it all. My heart wants that, but my mind says it's not going to happen. We have some big holes that we need to fill. We need some egos that we need to quash down. So it could be a bumpy road this year. We had a little taste last year, but again, that's just how things happen. Now, from a personal aspect of it, for people that haven't been here before, I am a organ transplant recipient. I had a double lung transplant back in 2012. I also crusade and speak openly to high schools and organizations about organ transplant. Please, uh, um, I, I ask you just to look into it. If you decide to go with it, thank you. There are others outside of me, other families that will thank you so much. Uh, I got a second chance at life. Lastly, guys, uh, especially for us over 40, hey, prostate exams, prostate cancer, number one uh, cause of death within males. Okay, please get that yearly physical, get that exam. You know what? It doesn't hurt. Yes, you're ashamed. Yes, you're afraid, but you're better off knowing that you're clean and in should you have an issue, let's take care of it while you can. Uh, I got other things to say, but just basically take care of your health, take care of your heart, take care of your family, and just go out and enjoy life every day that you can. It's always one day at a time. Michael, thank you again. I had a great time. I hope that we can do this a lot during the year.